Welcome back. We are on part two of our side body exploration. So we're just going to jump right into it. So you're going to come to standing, feet underneath your hips, arms are going to come wide and then allow them to hug around your torso, reaching for your shoulder blades, closing down the eyes and settling in for a few moments. Noticing your feet against the ground. Perhaps notice where the weight is falling through the feet, maybe more into the right foot than the left, or the left foot than the right. Maybe your weight is more in your toes, more in your heels. Just noticing here. And then see whether you can alter it slightly so that your weight is equal between each foot, pushing through the ball of your foot, the mound underneath your little toe, and right back in your heel. Breathing, noticing your natural breath in your body. And then reaching the arms out wide again, stretching fingertip to fingertip, and then releasing the arms back down. You're going to slowly tuck chin to chest, bend the knees, and roll down through the spine, through the torso until you fold all the way over your legs. Take a moment to hang there to feel the flexion through the spine and what happens through your abdominals, your core, in order to create that flexion. Perhaps becoming aware of the back of your legs as well here. Notice whether there's been a shift through your feet. If so, can you come back to that central point of pushing through all of your foot mound underneath your little toe and right back in your heel. And then we bend the knees and we slowly roll all the way back up, slow and steady. Head is the last thing to come back up. When we get to the top, we keep the knees bent and we allow the right arm to slide down that right thigh, left arm reaches to the sky, side bend. Breathe into left rib cage. And then slowly pull yourself back up. Left arm slides down, left thigh, right arm reaches to the sky. Imagine that your back is sliding along a wall here, so try not to let your torso come forwards as you side bend. Breathe. Pull yourself up by squeezing right ribcage towards your right hip and relax that right arm. We tuck chin to chest and we roll down through the spine. Slow, steady. When you get to the bottom, give your head just a little shake and a wiggle, and then walk yourself to hands and knees, getting there however feels best. I'm going to turn around, you guys. Once you're on your hands and knees, can you start to create circles over the tops of your hands? Giving your wrists and hands a little warm up here. And then allow pressure to go through the right hand, left hand's going to come off the floor, and you create circles from the wrist. Change the direction. And the other hand, left hand comes down, right arm lifts, right hand lifts. You create circles. Now at any point, if the wrist and the hand are feeling uncomfortable, feel free to come down onto those forearms. You've always got that option We're going to start by creating circles through the right hip. Now, if you've done part one, you may find that there's some repetition through this sequence, just at the beginning to prep our bodies. But repetition is always handy if you change the direction of those circles. It really helps to lay the foundations on our mind-body connection map. Bring the right knee down, transfer the weight slightly so left knee can start to circle in space. Really focusing on keeping the torso, the body really still here. So we're really working through that left hip joint. Change the direction. Bringing that left knee back down to the ground, we're tucking toes, sending hands back towards the knees and lifting the knees off here. And placing them back down. When you lift the knees off, can you allow the ankles and the heels to grow really heavy towards the floor? And then when you peel the knees back down to the ground, it's a super soft, light touch to lift back up again. Bringing your knees back down to center, we're going to work our way to hands and knees. Left leg then, heel squeezes to bottom. We push the heel up into the air and you start to pulse. Check in with your rib cage, keep it pulling away from the floor. Maybe even imagine here that your chest is trying to reach towards your pubic bone. We keep pulsing from the hip. We've got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the knee back in line but keep it hovering. Now take left knee out wide. Bring it back in. Out wide. Back in. Check in with your torso. Make sure that you're staying super steady. Put more pressure through that left hand or left forearm. One more. Then you're going to take that left leg out long to the side, placing it on the ground. And from here, you're going to create cat-cow. Slow and steady through the torso, taking your time to feel through the spine, to feel through your movement. Breathing into the side of your body, side of your rib cage, to allow the expansion and the softening through the torso. One more round like this. Working your way back to neutral spine. Can you reach your left arm to the sky? Rotate through the torso, push the right hand into the ground, and then bend the left elbow to bring fingertips behind the head. Now, in order to rotate that elbow back down to the ground, you may want to bend into your right elbow too, and that is okay. So we drop left elbow towards the right hand, and then rotate back open. Drop, rotate to open. You've got 2 more. Bringing that left arm up to the sky again, fingertips reaching towards the ceiling, pulling left hand back towards the floor, keeping the leg exactly where it is, Can you allow the elbows to drop towards the floor, forearms too, and then you lift yourself back up. We drop and lift, drop, lift. Two more. And back up. I'm going to pull the left leg back in, but by lifting it up into the air first. Put lots of pressure into that left hand to avoid moving over to the right. As you lift the leg, move it back behind you and bring it back in line with your right. Can you give your hips a little shake and a wiggle? You're going to bring forearms to the ground to give the hands and the wrists a little break. And then moving through cat-cow here, but make it your own. So if you want to move it around in space somehow, maybe circles, maybe back and forward, maybe it's more of a skipping rope motion through the spine, then feel free to do that. Otherwise, you can stay in that natural cat-cow position, in that all fours. Feeling the movement through the spine. And then you can stay on your forearms or you can come back up onto your hands. And we're going to go the right side. So we're going to flip round. So right heel squeezes to bottom. We push the foot up into the air. Check in with the rib cage, pull it up and away from the floor, and then pulse that heel towards the ceiling. So a pulse is we lift a little and then drop it back down. Keep pushing the floor away from you with your hands to keep activation through the upper body. Or if you're on your forearm, do it with the forearms. We're going to go for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring that knee back underneath, but keep it hovering. Take it out to the side, keep it bent. Pull it back in. Out. In. Out. In. Now keep your body equal. Try not to let it lean over to the left. We're now going to take that right leg out long to the side. Foot comes down. Make your way through those really slow cat-cows. And it can feel funky here. Through the pelvis, through the inner thigh. We're not used to creating this spinal movement with the leg out long. I'm just gently reminding our bodies that it's possible. Breathing and settling into your body. Now, with all the movements that we are doing here, we want to bring effort and consistency in, and that is what makes this practice so powerful. So it's body weight, we're moving, we're mobilizing, but in order to bring effort into the postures, into the movements, we need to use our imagination. We need to visualize. Coming back to neutral spine, reaching right arm up to the sky, bend the elbows so fingertips come behind the head, and then you pull that elbow towards your left hand. Bend into left elbow and reach back up. Rotating through the torso here. Notice how it feels through the side body as you create that rotation. We've got 2 more. Reaching that elbow up to the sky, reaching fingertips up to the sky, and then releasing the hand back down to the floor. Now, talking about that effort, When we bring elbows and forearms to the floor here, can you imagine that you're pushing down on a pedal? And then when you lift the elbows off the floor, imagine your hands are pushing down into the ground. So elbows are pushing down onto a pedal as you bring them to the floor. Hands are pushing down into the floor as you lift back up. And maybe compared to the other side, this now feels completely different. 2 more. Pushing that pedal down, pushing the floor away. Last one. Now, in order to bring that right leg back in, we try and keep our weight in the center, pushing through that right hand. We lift the right foot into the air, pull it back behind you, and bring it back underneath. We're going to bring forearms to the floor here. Tuck your toes, send your bottom up into the air. Just a little dolphin pose, wiggle the hips, keep the knees bent. Really try and lengthen through the spine here. Take a couple of breaths. And then slowly peeling those knees back down to the floor. From your hands and knees position, we're going to take that left leg out long to the side again. From here, though, you're going to walk your hands towards your right knee and pull your torso all the way up so that you're sitting high on that right knee. We're going to start with just moving the rib cage in space, side to side. Try and keep your lower body super still. The rib cage moves side to side. Nice. So we're going to pull the arms out wide in a T. Now move the rib cage towards the right. Topple so that right hand or right fingertips come to the floor. If it doesn't reach, grab a block or a book. Now reach the left arm away and up towards the ceiling. In order to pull you back up, you're going to squeeze left rib cage to left hip. So squeeze to lift, back up to center. Now we move right rib cage again towards the right. We topple over. We squeeze to lift. Slide to the right. Topple. Squeeze. 2 more. Notice how the glute joins in, how the oblique muscles help to pull you back up. Brilliant. This time you're going to allow the left hand to travel down left leg, and the right arm reaches to the sky. Little side body stretch through the right side, breathing into the rib cage. Bringing yourself back up to the top, you're going to topple over to the right again so that the right fingertips, right hand rest on the ground. Can you bring your left hand to rest on the top of your hip? And then you're going to allow the left leg to lift into the air. Tap it down, lift. Tap it down. Keep a nice long line from the crown of your head to your left heel. Left hand resting on that left hip, side of the left hip, because we want to keep the movement coming from where your hand is resting rather than your side body, which might look more like this. So the right rib cage keeps lifting away from the ground, moving from left hip to tap the foot down, lift back up, tap. Brilliant. You're going to bring that left foot to the floor, walk it forwards in front of you, and then the left arm is going to reach back behind you. And right now, I am in the lamp, basically. Take a breath, reach away from each other with fingers and toes. And then pull yourself back to that central position, still with the leg out long, still resting on that right hand. So this time we're going to create internal rotation through the hip, and then we lift and tap, lift and tap. 3 more. 3, 2, and 1. Bringing yourself back up to the top. Can we bring hands to the ground? Bring that left leg back in. Give the hips a good shake and a wiggle. Side to side. Sit down. This time we're going to come all the way up into downward facing dog. So tuck your toes, send your hips up into the air. Press the ground away from you. Maybe walk the feet just a little bit wider than usual in your downward dog. Push through your left hand and reach right hand towards your left ankle. Looking underneath that armpit. Take a breath. And exhale. Right hand to the ground. We take left hand towards your right ankle. Maybe it's just your calf. And that's okay. We twist, looking underneath that right armpit. Take a breath. And exhale. Left hand to the ground. Bring those knees back to the floor. And the right leg steps out to the side. Walk your hands back towards the left knee. Pull yourself up so that you're standing nice and tall on that left knee. Can you start to create movement through the rib cage, side to side? Now this side may feel different to before with moving the rib cage. This is just all information for you. Brilliant. Arms come out wide. This time you're allowing the rib cage to go to the left. You topple the hands. You squeeze right rib cage to right hip to pull you back up. Nice. Slide, drop, and pull. Slide, drop, squeeze. 2 more. Rib cage slides. We drop. We squeeze. This time, right arm travels down right leg. Left arm reaches to the sky, creating length through the left side body. Breathing here. See whether you can just tilt your tailbone a little underneath you to push your hips forward slightly. And then bringing that left arm all the way to the ground on the left side. Right hand is coming to rest on your right hip. Can you keep the chest lifted rather than falling towards the ground? And we're going to lift the right leg into the air and then drop down. Lift, drop. Remember, we're trying to move from the hip rather than the side body. Keep your left rib cage pulling up and away from the ground. I'm going to do 2 more. 1, 2. We walk that right foot forward, right arm to the sky. You reach the right arm back, trying to reach those right toe tips away from you. Take a breath. And then pull it all back to center, right hand coming back onto that hip. This time we create internal rotation through the hip. So imagine that the top of your hip is rotating towards the floor, and then we pull the foot up, down. Again, moving from the hip. Another 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bringing yourself all the way up, hands come down in front of you. Bring that right knee back underneath you. And again, giving those hips a good wiggle. Maybe wiggle all the way through the spine. And then you're coming to child's pose, bringing big toes together, knees nice and wide, send your hips back. Bring your forehead to rest on stacked hands and allow yourself to settle here for a moment. Notice the connection that you have made through your side body. Perhaps noticing the warmth through this area. Noticing how it feels through your whole body here. If child pose feels comfortable to rest in for a little longer, feel free to stay there. Otherwise, take yourself into a more comfortable position. Just taking a few moments to relax through the body. Taking a few moments to rest. Mind is settled on the breath, and you let yourself rest here. And then when you feel ready, just slowly making your way up into a comfortable seated position. Bringing the hands onto the chest for a moment just to thank your body for coming to the mat, to thank your mind for calming down, and to thank your breath for always being there to support you. We finish with a breath in through the nose and a sigh out through the mouth. Breathing in, sighing out. And then you are ready to step back into your day. Thank you so much for joining me.